You ever think you've seen it all, then life throws a shock your way? Let me tell you the night I watched my dad get hit with a police taser on his own porch while I sat helpless thousands of miles away in Afghanistan. I realized just how wrong I was. I mean, the kind of wrong that sits in your gut for months, makes your hands shake, keeps you up at 3 a.m. thinking, how can this be happening in my America? Yeah, that happened. My dad, Walter Jackson, wasn't just some retiree in a small Georgia suburb. No, sir. He was Riverbrook's first black principal, the kind of man whose name meant something on both sides of Maple Street. He walked with a cane after polio as a kid, but don't let that fool you, carried himself with more dignity than half the folks in City Hall. His house wasn't much, but it was full of photos, diplomas, and most of all, pride. And the centerpiece of his little collection? My picture, over there in uniform, somewhere in a desert, trying to make my old man proud. We talked every day. Our schedules never lined up, time zones and all, but we made it work. I'd ask, "You good, Dad?" He'd say, "Son, I've handled worse than whatever you're facing out there." And I believed him mostly. That was until the Caldwells moved in 3 doors down. Thomas and Elaine Caldwell were the kind of folks who smiled in church, but wouldn't look you in the eye at the grocery store. From a jump, they made it clear they weren't thrilled to have a black neighbor, especially one who threw backyard BBQs for his family. They called the HOA, they called the police. Heck, I half expected them to call the fire department if Dad's grill smoked too much. But my dad, he shrugged it off like he always did. "Son, ignorance is loud. Dignity is quiet. I'll be fine." Then came a night that changed everything. I was winding down, sand in my boots, talking to Dad on video chat. He was on the porch, swinging slow, talking about fishing plans for when I got home. Suddenly, headlights lit him up like a deer, and I could see 2 cops' Barnes and Kelly jump out with their hands on their belts, faces tight. "What's happening, Dad?" I asked, but he was already tense. "Police," he whispered, "just a misunderstanding." Didn't feel like a misunderstanding to me. Barnes marched up, flashlight straight in Dad's face. "Got a call about a suspicious person." He barked like Dad hadn't lived there for 20 years. Kelly started circling, looking in windows. "Let's see some ID," they demanded. Dad, ever the gentleman, reached slow for his wallet, but before he could even get out, Barnes had drawn his taser, and Kelly was shouting contradictory commands. "Hands up. Now don't move." You know what I mean? You could see Dad freeze, torn between compliance and fear. I started recording with my other phone, calling out, "Officers, my father is disableed and needs his cane. He's a retired principal. Just let him show you ID." But I could see it in their eyes. They'd already decided who they thought he was. Caldwell stepped out from his porch, voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "That's him. He's always out at weird hours." Elaine chimed in, saw him with a stick by the mailbox. They knew damn well that was his cane, but none of that mattered. The next minute stretched forever. Barnes knocked Dad's cane aside, and when Dad tried to steady himself on the rail, Kelly shouted, "He's resisting." Dad, panicking, tried to explain, voice trembling but clear, "I'm not resisting. I just can't kneel, please. Check my ID." But it was too late. Kelly fired the taser, and I watched it helpless while my father's body locked up, collapsed, and he went down hard, glasses flying. I heard myself scream, saw neighbors rush out. And through it all, the phone stayed live, camera rolling, the whole world able to see what those officers did to a good man. The Caldwells smirked in the background, arms folded, watching the chaos they started. My father lay shaking, face pressed into the steps, while Barnes handcuffed him and shouted, "Stop resisting," even though Dad was barely conscious. A neighbor, Mrs. Rodrigueza, a nurse, ran over, yelling, "He's having a seizure. He's not resisting." But the officers just glared. That was the climax. The moment my anger fused into purpose. In that instant, I realized my battlefield had shifted. I couldn't save my dad from Afghanistan, but I could make damn sure no one else's father went through the same hell. I uploaded the video everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, even sent it to a buddy in the press. Within hours, the video hit 1 million views. Local news picked it up, and suddenly Riverbrook wasn't just another quiet suburb. It was ground zero in a fight for justice. But you know how it goes. Systems don't go down easy. The department claimed Dad was combative, refused commands, all that tired old language. They put out press releases, paraded Barnes and Kelly in front of cameras, painted me as a dangerous veteran with PTSD. I mean, really? That's the play? Attack the soldier for trying to protect his father? Didn't work. My military training wasn't just about fighting, it was about discipline, collecting evidence, staying a step ahead. So I started digging. Found allies. The nurse, some decent young officers, even a couple city hall folks who'd had enough. Piece by piece, the truth came together. There was a twist, too. Turns out, the Caldwells weren't just nosy neighbors. They'd filed complaints against every minority family in their last neighborhood, left a paper trail a mile long. Even had footage of them vandalizing Dad's house, graffiti, trash, the works. And the best part? One of the officers who came that night had doubts and quietly handed me the unedited body cam footage. There was Barnes muttering, another entitled one, thinks he owns the place. Hard to argue with the truth when the whole world is watching, isn't it? Once the feds got involved thanks to a push from civil rights groups and thousands of folks sharing our story, everything changed. Investigations, indictments, the works. The city tried to push back, pressure us with bogus charges, harass Dad in the hospital. But the support just kept growing. Former students rallied, teachers spoke out, and the media wouldn't let it go. Principal Jackson taught me right from wrong, one guy said at town hall. He taught me to stand up for myself. Now it's our turn to stand up for him. The pressure worked. First, the officers were suspended. Then the chief was indicted on unrelated corruption charges. The Caldwells were arrested for filing false reports. Suddenly, the whole ugly mess was in the light. New leadership took over, new policies came down, body cams, independent review boards, reforms that meant something. And my dad? He recovered. Took time, but he stood up in front of a packed auditorium at his old high school and said, "This isn't about vengeance, it's about accountability. About making sure this never happens to another family." That's the real win. But you know, the ending isn't just happy ever after. It's better than that. Because now, a year later, Riverbrook is different. Cops stop to talk, not just patrol. Community events aren't segregated by fear or resentment. There's a scholarship in Dad's name. And me? I traded my combat boots for a seat at the table helping police departments reform, making sure the lessons stick. So let me ask you, if you were me, watching your father get attacked from half a world away, what would you do? Would you stay silent, or would you fight back with everything you had? Comment below because, believe me, your voice matters. Justice isn't a finish line, it's a fight we have to show up for every single day. If this story made you angry, hopeful, or just think a little harder about what community should mean, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that matter. Share this with someone who needs to know that even in the worst moments, change is possible if we're willing to stand together and demand it.